There it is.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we first want to thank you for giving us this National Juneteenth holiday. So thankful for all of those that dedicated much of their time and their goodwill to make this a reality that we're thankful for. We're also grateful that we allowed us to come together this afternoon, this evening, to discuss the business of our community. We pray that for your guidance and for your direction, and yes, for your wisdom as we work our way through the agenda. It's in Christ's name's sake that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Albert. Roll call.
Wait, before you do a roll call, you got a public hearing.
Wait. You should wait until I'm sitting all the way down. Declare a public hearing at 7 p.m. to consider proposed annexation and zoning of Jesse Fertile Memorial Airport located at 20044 Pierre Lane, Boonville, Missouri, 65233.
I just have a few comments for the record. For those of you who have been around, we talk about annexation. The question is it reasonable and necessary? So I just wanted to provide a few details for the proposed annexation of Jesse Fertile Memorial Airport. One of the factors to consider is relating to emergency services. So we actually are already responding with police and fire. So we're already providing those services, so it makes sense for it to be in the city limits. As we've talked about before, we intend to extend utilities to the area, so the sewer and the water that we are working on right now all the way out the corridor will continue to run. We also just recently conducted a fiber extension out to the airport, and that was so that the airport could be on the city network. And we expect to have continued growth and development east and along the I-70 corridor sometime between now and the next 200 years. So it makes sense for this to be in the city so we can have continued growth. And then just finally that the airport is already a city-owned property, so it's good for it to be in the city.
How long has the golf course been in city limits now?
That annexation was 2015. And if anyone else has any other public comments related to that, they're welcome.
Any other comments? Okay. Move on to hearing of citizens' comments. If you would like to comment about anything,
We'll close the hearing, go to the vote.
excuse me, I did forget to call to order our regular meeting. Roll call is done, or you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
Turner.
Here.
Stock. Young.
Here.
Meadows.
Here.
Cowherd.
Here.
Harville.
Here.
Elbert.
Here.
Venable.
Here. Hearing of citizens' comments. If you have something you'd like to say, please come up to the podium. Tell us who you are and what you want to talk about. Okay. None. Approval of the minutes of June 6, 2022. They're on pages 3 through 8. Are there any suggested changes or corrections? There being none, they will stand as submitted. Item 5 is consent items. A, consider pay request order number 3 from Grice Trucking and Excavation in the amount of $36,500 for Morgan Street, Alpine Drive, stormwater improvements. It's on page 9 and 10.
I just want to note for the record, it's actually a change order, not a pay request.
Any questions or comments? Do we need a motion on that?
This has been approved. I noticed there's no signatures on this.
It has been approved and vetted through both Scott and Miko and then Grice and then myself, but you guys have the formal approval authority.
Motion?
I make a motion, we approve this.
Thank you, Whitney. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Comments, questions? Roll call.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock, Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Marvel,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable.
Yes.
Okay. Item 6, presentation of accounts and claims. You should have a up-to-date substitute in front.
No, this is the same one.
Okay, go.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the city of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on June 20th, 2022, the sum of $536,521.54. General fund, $292,394.93. Sanitation, $23,965.55. CIP tax, $14,427.35. Waterworks, $16,862.17. Capital projects, $13,750.85. Wastewater, $36,539.28. Tourism, $7,591.16. Gaming, $122,000.00. Parks and Water, $8,990.25. Kemper sales tax, $0.00. Economic Development Projects, $0.00. Section 2, the accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $536,521.54, being the total amount of money being appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on June 20th, 2022, read for the second time this June 20th, 2022, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve these
Thanks.
accounts.
Thank you, Susan. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Whitney. Questions or comments?
Kate, the 122 for gaming in there. Is that, what's that one for?
I was just thinking about that. I think there's a couple capital purchase items in there. I think there was maybe some of the camera work we're doing or some of, and then some public works, but I can look back and,
That's usually
Get more
just the
detail.
one
yeah, it's usually,
that needs more detail around
Yeah.
it or something in there.
so I will double check and get back with you, but I think those were just several capital items that happened to come, that we had planned to purchase this year.
Okay, thank you.
And just to be clear, this is monies out of those particular accounts, correct?
Yes.
You're not making a payment into game or
No,
anything like that?
no. It's an expenditure.
What's your roll?
Roll call.
Turner,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Marvel,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable.
Yes.
Passes. Item 7, unfinished business. A, second reading of bill number 2022-013, approving local agency funding contracts for fiscal year 2022 and 2023.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving local agency funding contracts for services, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Ingrid. Second? Thank you, Albert. Questions or comments?
What are the, oh, sorry, Albert, go ahead.
Well, this is the item that I had some questions, some unfinished business questions from the first reading. And I'd like to raise those questions now. I see Mr. Carter's here, maybe he's gonna answer those questions. This is some item.
Just a second. Has Morris already got your questions? Or
No.
You're fresh?
No, I'm fresh.
Okay, go.
before I get into this, I want to just, as a background, one of my first or second meetings on this agency funding program, I asked a question about what is this program all about? What is our mission? What is it we're trying to accomplish? And I wrote, when I got the answer, I wrote it down. I want to verify that that still exists today. Here's what you or somebody told me. This program, the purpose of it is to enhance the quality of life for Boonville residents. Is that still the mission?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Then here are 3 or 4 questions that I had. One of the unfinished questions I had is I thought we had talked about maybe trying to take the unclaimed funds and roll it over into the next year funds. And I thought we were going to do some follow-up on that, and I guess I'm wondering, did we
We're
ever do
doing
that? We're doing that now?
Yes.
Good. The other one I had is school supplies. I thought there we talked about, why are we cutting that off at the 6th grade? I think that was between K and 6, I believe. And the question was raised, why are we cutting it off at 6? The students above that, even at the high school, need supplies and so forth. And I thought we were going to look into maybe trying to expand that even to the high school level. Did we get a chance to look at that?
The committee is not cutting it off. It's a Kiwanis Club that is sponsoring this program is one that has cut it off. And they set the guidelines that we're only going to look at K-6 down. We have asked during the committee's meeting about the high school kids, and at that time, they don't want to expand it.
They do not. Did they say why they?
Well, they can't afford it, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
okay.
I mean, Albert, we had roughly $153,000 requested this year, and we only had $74,000 to give out. So we have to really look at that hard, where it best benefit the community.
Okay. The next item I had was one that was somewhat controversial, I guess. It has to do with whether the projects that we're funding is primarily for Boonville residents. And I brought up the example, I remember we had an incident with the Harvest House out here where there were a number of people staying out there that were not Boonville residents. And if I remember, I thought our bid was for so many sleep nights or bed nights, ever how they refer to that, for Boonville residents. Did we get a chance to look into that, or how is that going?
It's not really, it's benefiting the life of Boonville residents. That don't really mean that it's strictly for Boonville residents. It means that we don't want, using the Harvest House as an example, we don't want people up here sleeping on the streets and stuff if they can get a room out there at the Harvest House. Now, we did have a time 3 or 4 years ago when we went through this real cold spell. We had other towns that was making sure that Boonville was aware of rooms that they had. Boonville was making sure they had rooms to get the people in and out of the cold weather. But it's kind of first come and first serve. I mean,
Really?
There's only 2 people that has applied for money. If we strictly restrict it to Boonville residents, that means that the Kiwanis on those kids that gets school supplies, they're going to have to make sure they live inside the city. Because we got people outside the county that comes to the city schools. That also means that the Friends, they would, if they got a event that's sold out, if somebody from Boonville wanted a ticket, are they going to ask those people to give up their seat so that Boonville residents? So we're kind of looking at it, only 2 organizations with Teresa's help that actually is Boonville residents is our 2 horse training places, Hunter Acres and Rallies. And when they have to submit the paperwork to Teresa showing that somebody actually from the city limits of Boonville went out there and did that training. But everyone else, the Kiwanis, friends.
Well, let's just take, for example, the purest, I think, example I can give, to me, is the prom night. That is strictly a special event that's from 11 o'clock or whatever time to this time, and it's for, basically for Boonville High School students. Is that right?
Right,
prom.
now, give you an example. Let's say that you was taking somebody to the prom. You asked, your date lived in Columbia, lived in Marshall. Would you say you can go to a prom activity, but your date can't go?
Yeah, well, no, you wouldn't, you wouldn't cut it that sharp, right? I don't think. But, well, let me just ask you this, we'll let it go. Is this position that you just related to me, is that a change in position?
No,
It's always been that way.
it's always been that way.
Okay, that has not been my read. That's fine. If that's what it is, then I'm straight on what we're doing. That was not my understanding from the beginning.
No, it's always been that way. We try to, the committee works real hard and tries to improve the quality of living inside the city.
Right.
Just like every other, I mean, you know, we're lucky, we've got Teresa that checks every receipt that comes in to make sure that they have followed the guidelines.
Yeah, I understand that. I'll just hit you with this one. I recall this, that one of our vendors was buying supplies from Howard County,
Right.
and we said no. Did we not?
That, we asked them
Because-
if they can to buy it. That was probably, Neighbors Helping Neighbors
That's
or,
exactly right. That's-
that was buying some of their supplies was coming from Columbia. Well, CNR is the only place in town that will sell them supplies. So everything that is purchased, we ask them to purchase inside the city, but it's not a definite requirement.
Okay, that's fine. As long as I got the understanding, I didn't think we were swinging that wide of a curve on some of this, but that's fine. And the other one was on every applicant, we were asking to put up a sign or something on their pass out indicating that this was their tax dollars at work, and I think I saw where you were doing
Yes.
that now, so that's good. Okay.
Each organization is putting a sign up saying that, to let the public know this is their, where part of their CIP tax is going. And we decided to do that on account of, it would get passed each time it came up for a vote, if people knew that, the money was being spent in this
Right,
manner.
and I think that's a good idea. That's a good one. One other thing that we talked about, and I don't know if it got much play or not, but we thought it was a good idea, and that would be members of the committee at least visit or ride in one of these, or throughout the year, go by, say Oats. Go out with Oats one day so they can actually see what they're doing and how they operate and so forth. I don't know if we discussed that or went any further with that.
It wasn't really a requirement.
No, I know
The
it
committee was asked if they wanted to go out and visit with anybody, they're more than welcome. It's just like the meetings is open to the public. Anyone that has concerns, all they have to do is come in and address the committee. And I don't believe there's any committee that is more advertised than what local agency funding is. On the radio, news, everywhere, is we're gonna meet on such and such night, and it's always open to the public.
Final question, I guess this wasn't a follow-up or unfinished business item, but I thought we were not going to disclose who was awarded the funds and whether they accepted it or not until it was approved by the council.
The committee don't have no control over that. We haven't released no information.
Well, somebody released it because we had it.
I
last
think
week.
what I understand was that it was put on the city's website when the first reading came up.
Well, that might be, but my question is, wasn't the idea was, there could, and I know 99 or 100% of the time it hasn't changed. I mean, I think the council's been rubber stamping it for the most part, but it could be a change as it goes through the council. So,
If the council wants that, we'd be more than happy to.
well, I thought that was, I thought that was our policy, that we wouldn't disclose that until the whole thing has been approved.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the committee has no control over that, and we have not disclosed it.
I think
So
Albert
the
just,
point of the order had, the point of the releasing of the information has to do with what the public is entitled to see when we do the motion. We can't pass something that has not been made
You
public.
can't what?
Up to that point, up to the point where the council passes this, it can be quiet, it can be non-public, but if we're gonna pass it, it has to show, it's got to be public. That happens on all this stuff.
I was just gonna say, I would, if you want, I'm happy, I would have to get Doug involved, because I would ask him about if it was appropriate to pass an ordinance awarding $74,000 to various entities without detailing the entities, without public notice.
Without, yeah.
So I would have to, that's a Doug question.
Yeah, and it's always been our understanding that we have to review it at that point.
So just to be clear, you're saying even before the council vote on it, it needs to be made public. Is that what you're telling me?
If it's on the agenda, it's a public document.
Public record, yeah.
Now, is
But does it
is
have
that
to be
right
on
or
the-
is that wrong? I don't know,
Okay.
Albert. I can't answer that question for you.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna belabor it. I have just always been under the impression that you don't want to discuss or release any kind of information like this until it's been totally approved, because people see that and they say, wait a minute, I saw where I was awarded $12,000 and now you're giving me 10 because this committee here cut it back to. I think that's the problem.
Yeah,
That could happen. You're
Yeah,
correct.
it could.
Yep.
It could, I also think in general, if someone were to call and ask that, whether it's Teresa or myself, or if they called Morris, that it would say the committee recommended, just like we might recommend a bid,
There you
this
go.
option, but of course is nothing, it's final until it's approved. So you kind of put the caveat on that, and I think on the other side, the point would be that if someone, for whatever reason, thought that it was not a good idea to use the money for whatever entity it is, that they also have the right during public comments to come and tell you all as a council that you don't agree, or you think they should get more money, or they should get all the money, or whatever their comment is.
Thank you, sir.
One other comment, if I could, Mayor. We are in the process of reviewing the guidelines for local agency funding. So if anyone has a suggestion on how we can improve it, please let us know. Because, this money is for the citizens, and we try to be fair. So give us some input of what we need to look at.
Thanks, Morris.
Okay.
Anybody else have questions for Morris?
Yeah, the only question I had was what Albert and I talked about last meeting was, he had used the word recruiting from other places, but I guess you addressed it. So 3 or 4 years ago, when it was really cold, we did ask for people to fill beds at the Harvest House from other cities, but that practice was only through a very rough spurt.
The Harvest House is actually a very unusual place. It's there to benefit individuals. And I would hate to say that Boonville did not Boonville told the Harvest House to save a bed for a Boonville residents when there might be somebody else that got into a serious accident out here on the interstate and didn't have the money for a hotel. I think it should be, Harvest House should be first come, first serve. They've got their guidelines, and we're here to help anyone and not just strictly Boonville residents.
But I think the common practice would not be to go to other cities and say, hey, we got a bed. That's not.
Unless it's an emergency situation, they do not do that. And the Harvest House is actually under a different management now than what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, that was what
Yeah, no.
Albert and I were talking about last meeting.
And we agree with you 100%.
All right.
The budget, you said it was 74,000 or
I,
something?
it was roughly
Something like that.
74,000. It might be, I might be
Around
off a
there.
little bit.
Have we looked at, how has that budget changed over the years? Do we have escalation built into that budget?
So it's set at 10% of
Every
the
year?
CIP and the use tax that I budgeted in '05. So we just take 10% off the top. So if we think we're gonna have a better budget year, that's what we give. So I think last year was 68, I think, if I remember correctly.
Well, it probably came up, one way we've changed the budget is, any money that is not used this year will automatically roll over, and it used not to do that.
Okay.
But we've got that changed, and it might have been 68, and we had 6,000 left over, you know.
Yeah. And we did budget for growth. I mean, I assumed our sales tax year was good last year, and I budgeted some sort of where we ended up last year, so.
Just to comment, but I mean, clearly there's a demand for these funds, so it could be something, as we're looking at the rules behind it, we could also look at increasing the budget if it's something we deem necessary at the council.
Come next winter?
Yep.
And another thing, is just a comment, what we was talking about a while ago with Teresa's help, or by her doing her job, that's the reason we had some money to roll over, because that particular organization could not prove that it was Boonville residents that used them, so they could not claim the money.
Good.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We already have a motion in a second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Turner,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable.
Yes.
Passes. Item B, second reading of bill number 2022-014, approving annexation of Jesse-Brittle Memorial Airport located at 20044 Pierre Lane, Boonville, Missouri, 65233. Is there a motion?
Nope, no motion. We're doing a third reading.
Aha, where's the third reading?
It's on the bill, but.
Item 8, new business, consider approval of bid for Rolling Hills Playground surfacing, pages 12 through 17. Who's presenting, Paul? Don't be shy.
It's not part of my category.
Yeah.
First off, I'll give you all a little rundown about the Rolling Hills Playground for you that don't know. It was built in probably 2007 when the playground was installed, and at that time, the playground was put in, and it just had engineered wood fiber underneath of it. And that lasted a while, and you got to get into fall heights and all that to understand the different types of playground surfacing. But later on, I think it was 2012, we got a chance to get some used tile from a playground out of Kansas City. A company we know, they was taking a playground out. So we went up there and they gave us the tile. So we came back, we poured a concrete curb all the way around it, installed the tile. So it's probably completed somewhere late 2012. So we've gotten 9 years out of it probably before it finally gave up. It's got a 3-inch mat underneath of it now, and then a 1-inch tile on top of it. Well, the 1-inch tile had to come out because it started curling up and became a trip hazard, and so it had to be removed. So my recommendation to go back is to do the poured in place system, and that's what you have the bids on. The poured in place lasts longer, it's much safer, you get more for your money, if you want to say. The tile, if you look at we have 2 other playgrounds in town that have a 4-inch tile on them, and you can even go look at them. Once in the winter and the summer, they start expanding and changing, contracting back and forth, and then you get a gap between the tiles, the dirt gets down in there and it pushes them out, and that's what causes them to curl up and causes the trip hazard. So that's why I'm recommending the poured in place deal. So if anybody has any questions about it, basically a poured in place system, if you go to to the aquatic center and look at the spray ground, that's what it has. It's poured in place. It's a rubber recycled material that they pour over kind of a, you can say it's like a sponge material, gives it a cushion underneath of it. It's probably about 3.5 inches. Then they pour the recycled material over the top of it, and it makes it really nice and soft. And the height of it depends on your fall height from the highest point that you have to fall from, whatever your playground is that's gonna land on it. So that determines the thickness of it. And out there in Rolling Hills, we can't dig down any deeper because we have water line and electrical conduit that goes underneath of it, so we would have to relocate in order to go with something different besides either going with, that's our two options, is either going back with what we have now, the 1-inch tile on top, and we can do that for about $35,000, and that's with us installing the tile. That's purchasing the tile and us installing the tile. Or we can go with the poured in place, and you have the 3 bids there, and like I say, I think the cheapest one was like $42,000, so.
Where was the other location where you have this?
The poured in place?
Yeah.
At the aquatic center, at the swimming pool. If you go to the spray ground, that's off to the south end of the pool there. That's what it is. It's a poured in place system. So, and also if you go to David Barton School, they have one on the playground there. They did 2 years ago. We helped them actually do some work over there for that. So they have one also if you wanted to just look at it to see what it looks like. So.
Paul, I got a question. On
you
the
got?
tennis courts over by the Lions Park, how long has that been there?
The tennis courts?
Yeah.
Oh, guessing probably in the late 80s if I had to guess.
So is it about time for us to replace those tennis courts?
The tennis, it's probably time to do something with the surfacing, probably, yeah. Probably are correct.
Maybe we'll look in that one too, since we're getting.
I'm game for anything.
All right, I'm just asking a question.
No, that's fine.
I thought the
Yeah.
playground there is not too bad. The
The
playground did
playground
have,
is not bad, and if you look at the tile on that playground also at Lions Park there, there's some gaps in the tile there, and that's what it does.
it wasn't as bad as Rolling Hills. You're
No.
right. I mean, it was really bad there.
Yeah.
It's becoming a pretty bad trip hazard. Not toys, but the different equipment this does not affect anything to do with the equipment, same equipment.
Yeah, same equipment. We won't change the equipment at Rolling Hills is fairly new, so we won't change that out for quite some time, so.
And then it talks about, doesn't include removal and,
Yeah, we would take all, which we've already taken up the existing tile there. We still have the 3-inch mat that's down now.
Yeah,
So we'll take everything out and haul everything off and get it ready for them and put the base rock in and have it ready for them to put it down, so.
yeah, I went out there and looked at it. You have the fencing around it and all
Yeah,
that now.
well,
so-
temporary, they keep knocking it down about as fast as we can put it up, but it's there,
Right. All right.
so.
Steve, so my guess is it's not budgeted, right?
No, it's not budgeted.
If it was budgeted, you wouldn't have to come.
If it was budgeted, I'd have to be here anyway, even if it was budgeted, because it's over $30,000, so.
Is it is it the green sponge that's curling, that makes
The
it?
green
all
tiles,
safe?
yeah,
That-
yeah. All it is like an interlocking puzzle.
Yeah,
They just
I
the
saw
pieces interlock and they just started coming apart. You have to glue them and they started coming apart and the sun hits them and they just start swelling and
Do
curling
you
up.
know, Paul, what is the life on this type of
On,
equipment? This what we're talking about.
On what
I
we're-
noticed one of the bids in there, they offered a 7-year warranty.
Yeah.
And you say we got fine out of this one. Do you have an idea what the life on that should be?
I really couldn't tell you, because poured in place is a fairly newer system. I mean, it's been around for a while, but it's newer. That's what a lot of people are going with. So I couldn't tell you what the lifespan, I can tell you what they're gonna tell you it is, but
What's that?
they're gonna give you 7 to 8 years warranty on it. Lifespan, I couldn't tell you, what the lifespan is.
Okay. I noticed the little playground down by the ballpark, but I think it's only 2 or 3 items down there. Now, that's just mulch, is that right? Is
Yes.
that just,
That's just an engineered wood fiber, comes out of a Balls, Missouri, yeah, we purchased that. So, and the only thing different with that, you can do that, and we still have that in several of our parks here in town. The only difference is you have to watch, it depends on your fall height of your equipment that you have
I see.
as to how much of that you're able to put underneath. And we can't put that much, because I have to have 9 inches of engineered wood fiber if I put it at Rolling Hills, and I can't get 9 inches because of what's underneath the ground without moving the playground, so. Now, if you go, speaking of the pool, if you look at the pool was built in 2010, so opened in 2011, somewhere around in there, so you're talking, we've gotten 11 years out of that, and we haven't had any problems with it, and it's got chlorine running off of it all day long, so. If, you know, that's a good example, so. It's the best I can give you on a lifespan, anyway.
I mean, your low bid doesn't have a warranty listed at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we need to have, before we can really even decide, I need to, at least they've got to match the warranty as the other bids.
Well, my thing is even, and I have another outfit that I'm working with too, Fry and Associates, they're out of Kansas City also, and they're actually the ones that helped us get the tile that was in there now. And I'm working on with him, so I can't tell you what his bid is now, but my point is I just need to be able to move forward somewhere, whether it's with this bid or something, to be able to do something with the playground, whether.
That was confusing. Run that by us again. In other words, you're thinking about doing business with somebody other than what's listed here?
No, I'm saying if you want me to look at other people, I can. He said he wanted somebody with a better warranty. I'm saying I can look at other companies, but I need to be able to move forward with something. I mean, either that or you got a playground out here that nobody can use. So, or I can go back to tile. I just need, you all the ones holding all the money. You're like my banker.
There you go.
So you have 3 bids here, and you could have potentially a 4th bid.
I could get a 4th bid, yes. I did 3 because that's normally what we do, is come up with 3 bids, and so, that's what I did.
And would you say the work that will be done would be comparable with all 3 bids?
I would say yes. And I can't, you know, it's like anything, I can't guarantee that. I can't tell you that. I mean, it's anything you do in construction or anywhere, you take a bid and you're taking a chance. You don't
Sure.
know unless
Well-
you did business with them before, so.
Well, you probably should take your low bid and then check with your 4th guy and see if he can beat that.
Yeah.
Is that your motion?
Okay, I would make a motion that you, take the lowest bid, and if you can get a better bid from your 4th, whichever's the lowest, take it and go.
Yeah, and I would also request that the warranty be matched.
Good point.
So that
Warranty
might
is-
increase this bid.
As in, which warranty are you?
Well, at least the 7 years, that's the
Okay.
only one listed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at a bare minimum is match the best.
It's like a $20,000 premium though for a 7-year warranty.
Yeah. Well, he may just throw in a warranty. Yeah, see
I
what,
mean,
Well, that's like, say, you're with the 7-year, you're seeing, like, say, you're $20,000 higher, so I guess it's whatever.
but they
I'm
normally
working
last,
with-
at least your used equipment lasted 8 years, right?
Yep.
I mean, if it's the same type of pour in place that's at the pool, I mean, it's gonna last more than 7 years.
Oh, I could,
I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. I mean, my kids have been out there quite a bit, so.
yeah.
So is that by the same company?
No, that company was out of St. Louis.
Okay.
That did that company. This company here, this one that did the low bid anyway, is out of Kansas City, so. And I have not dealt with this company before, so.
All right, so what's our motion?
I would make a motion that you accept the lowest bid unless you can get a lower bid from the 4th
And
bidder.
we assure the 7-year warranty.
And there's also and I'll even mention too, there's also a chance, when I spoke with this lady, she is not, none of these people came to this site yet.
Okay.
Because they're not gonna, this is all done through the computer, so they're talking to me, I'm sending them pictures, so back and forth. So nobody's actually been to this site, so even when I spoke with this lady from Kansas City, the one with the lowest bid, she
Right.
says, once they got an idea that, you're at least considering them, they'll come here and give you a better example, a
So
better
it may
estimate.
change?
So it could change, I'm not saying it would be cheaper, can't guarantee that either, I'm just saying, once I can get somebody on site, but I can't get anybody to come here
And then ask
And-
about a warranty.
not knowing that you're gonna do any business with them anyway, so.
Yeah.
And
then
especially,
ask-
I don't know, it's like today's day, you can't go to somewhere and buy a car, it's just, doesn't work that way anymore, so.
I'm afraid you're gonna have to come back next time with
I-
more information.
This is wishy-washy. I don't
Yeah.
think we can do this. I think we got.
Y'all just tell me what you wanna do. I
Okay, well, just hang on a minute, Paul.
I've got a
Okay.
question.
Go.
If you, the tile system I know is not as good. Just curious, like comparison price wise, how is it compared to the poured in? Is it half, 3/4?
to purchase the tile.
Yeah, like to redo the tile systems.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the-
I can purchase the tile, like I say, for probably 30 to 35,000. I can purchase the tile, and that's not counting, that's not an installation. That's them delivering the tile here, and we install the tile.
So it's gonna be very comparable to the lower
So-
bid.
By the time you get your labor in there.
Or
Yeah,
more,
that-
okay.
like I say,
That's what I was wondering. I
yeah.
didn't know if it's like half price.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guess my thought is, I can't see it, even if there's an increase of this 42, I can't see it increasing at the level of some of these other bids
So,
here.
well, no, I couldn't
So I
imagine that.
still think we go with the low bid and comparable warranty and see where we land.
Did
I
the,
just need insight from you, or whatever you want me to do.
did the difference between the bids surprise you?
Yeah,
Does it give you any worry?
no,
No?
no.
I mean, because you're talking $20,000, you're talking
Yeah.
30 or 40, 30 or 50%, depending on what,
50%.
depending on what your base is. So, yeah, I mean, it's substantial.
I've worked for the city for almost 32 years, and I've seen a lot of different bids come in on different items, and it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm definitely on board with the solution. Maybe get another bid from and I would say, if we hadn't worked with any of the four, I would say go with the low bid today and let's move. That's a great park. People love it. I know my own family loves going out there. Since we haven't worked with any of these three, we've worked with the fourth that we don't have a bid, I would insist that they submit a
At
bid.
least get, yeah.
And then we could go forward from there, would be my recommendation.
I'm good with that too.
I mean, you have three bids, Kansas, Florida, and Ohio, and the Kansas one's the cheapest.
I
So-
sent one to an outfit in St. Louis, but they never got anything back. so.
Nothing back from them, yeah.
Yeah, and I would give them a deadline of, 48-hour turnaround so we can, I don't want to delay this and then make the decision which we could have made today. So
Yeah.
if we could give them, say, hey, this is a sense of urgency, we need one more bid in, what can you do? And then let's make a decision and roll with it.
Okay, so who's our wordsmith?
And you don't have to make any motion. You can just wait and have them come back. There's no,
I think we need to wait, yeah.
And we're only 2 weeks, right?
I'll be here at the
So
next council
can
meeting
you-
anyway.
can you-
so.
Basically, what they're asking
Yeah.
you to do is get these last details put together so that we have something upon which we can make a motion.
Yep.
Okay?
That's fine.
Great. Good, this is good work. Paul.
Awesome.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, new business. We talked about the playground, so now we know what to do there. The second item is real estate and property tax discussion for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Yes, ma'am.
we're gonna call Jennifer Griffin.
Okay. Who has the number?
I do. It's right there. You want me to? Yeah. And I'd say for anyone, if you want to come closer, feel free, because it does get a little bit quiet. It's hard to get.
Can you put a mic down?
Yep, we got one right here.
Hello?
Hi, this is Jennifer. Did you not hear me?
Yep, no, we're good.
Can you hear it back there?
Okay.
Teresa, can you hear that back there? Okay, go Jennifer. Are you presenting or are you listening?
I believe I'm presenting. Kate asked me to run through the city's options at this point relating to tax collection in hopes that all of you could make a decision about what the next steps will be.
You have the floor.
All right, thank you. So basically, what I'm going to give you are a list of 9 different choices. As you all, I think, know at this point, we continue to be at an impasse with the county commissioners. The city has led the valiant charge to circulate a template contract with the clerk to facilitate the extension of the various city taxes. As I understand it, Boonville, along with the other cities, have passed the necessary resolutions and signed their agreements, and they've all been provided to the commission, and the commissioners have essentially done nothing, although they have been requested by multiple cities, and that the Mayor Beach also sent an email requesting that those items be placed on the agenda, or if not, go ahead and put Boonville's on the agenda since the paperwork was complete. So we've been trying to evaluate, and I've looked at the law to determine what our options are, and to give you this list. So, and I'll provide minimal commentary about each one as I kick it off, and then open the floor to questions any of you may have. One option is to use the media as a means to pressure the commissioners to approve these outstanding contracts with the clerk. Points for the media to make would be what a ridiculous waste of taxpayer money this has been because of the commissioner's refusal to approve an agreement that has been in place for decades, that there's been money spent on litigation, and not just taxpayer money of the city, but some of these taxpayers have paid taxes to the city, obviously, and the county, which is also spending money. And despite the favorable ruling in the litigation, the commissioners still continue this path of ridiculous conduct and refusal to issue approval in the face of the fact that it would cost all of the cities significantly more money to collect and extend their own taxes. I guess I should say extend the
Hey,
collector
Jennifer?
would still be handling the collection. But in any event, it would be significantly more expensive for the cities to handle the tasks historically performed by the clerk than for...
Need to interrupt, Jennifer. Got a question?
Do we have any idea how much the county commissioners have spent on this topic?
Do we know how much the county commissioners have
Ballpark.
spent?
In legal fees?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, the bottom line is, and we should be able to ascertain that from public records.
Yeah.
Oh, in the room, someone said
They have records
$80,000.
Yeah, Sarah Herman is here. She's saying over 80,000.
Okay, so they've wasted $80,000. Then you also have the clerk's legal bills, which remain unpaid, and they refuse to approve payment of
43,000.
them.
That's 43 on top of that, Sarah?
So we're talking 123,000 thus far,
Plus the cities.
plus the cities. What are the cities' fees?
We're up at that 80,000.
So another 80. So we're talking $200,000, north of $200,000 that we're fighting over this. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's an egregious waste of taxpayer money, in my opinion. So that's option one. Option two would be a legislative change to the statute to remove the ability or the requirement that the county commissioners approve the entry of these kinds of agreements between the county officials and city officials. And I like that as an option, but I think that's more of a longer-term view because obviously for purposes of 2022, we don't have a mechanism. The General Assembly's not in. It's not possible to get that relief in time for this year, but it is something I think to think about on a longer term basis. Option 3 is to try and persuade Sarah, assuming she's still in office, to continue performing the tax extension services for this year in exchange for the city's promise to make ongoing efforts to get her contract approved, which is essentially what we did last year. I don't know what her appetite is for agreeing to that sort of an arrangement this year. We don't know if she'll be in office. It would appear, since Commissioner Beggary is not running again, we're going to have a change in the composition of the commission that I think will be favorable based on the limited information I have, that we probably, hopefully, can get the contracts pushed through the commission next year, even if we're not able to do that this year. Option 4 would be to enter into a contract with the county, which would be a contract between the city and the county, and or maybe also the collector, under which the collector continues to provide the collection services for the same fee she's receiving now under her current contract, and under which she could also be assigned the tax extension related duties by the county. They would have to pass the ordinances or take whatever measures needed to transfer that authority from the clerk's office to the collector's office. That's an option. I don't know what the commissioner's appetite would be for that. I would think that, we would have to have specific provisions in place to make the city comfortable with whomever would be taking over the obligations and duties historically performed by the county clerk. Another option that we've looked at is a cooperative agreement with the other cities to purchase the software and find one individual that would basically serve as a common city clerk to perform those functions. I don't think that's really the best option. I don't know how much that would cost. I don't think anyone's evaluated it, but I feel like the best option would be to keep all of the duties within the county. I think that's the most cost-effective way. I think it keeps people involved that are more familiar with the process as well. The sixth option, which I don't like for the same reasons, is to have the city handle its own tax extension services and reinstate or assign those duties to a city clerk. But I don't think that's cost effective. I don't think that's the route to go. Seventh item, I think there's an argument to be made that the existing contract with the county collector requires the provision of services by the county. If the clerk won't do it and the county won't approve the contract with the clerk, and they're leaving us high and dry. They've approved a contract that is incomplete. It doesn't provide the city all the services that it needs. We could argue that they have an obligation to figure out how to provide those services. The eighth option would be litigation against the commissioners. I'm not recommending that. I don't think that's the best option for the city or the county or the taxpayers. And then the ninth option, I think, would be to make some sort of last-ditch effort to communicate with the commissioners to see if they can be persuaded to sign off on these contracts between the cities and the clerk, or to at least put that as an item on their agenda for consideration or to explore their appetite maybe for a broader tax services agreement between the city and the county. And I personally think it might make some sense to send an email. Maybe Mayor Beach could send an email to the commissioners, and we could lay out all of the options that I've just presented to you and see what their appetite is for any of them. I mean, at this point, I think the city has nothing to lose and everything to gain by being completely transparent. I mean, the city's in a lurch. It's got to have tax extension services, and one of these options or a combination of them need to be pursued to try and get some movement from the commissioner. So that's basically it. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Got to speak up.
I'm not sure if Jennifer can hear me or not. Can you?
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the options about removing the county clerk out of the equation, is there a precedence in the state? Has any other county did that in the state? I would assume no. Or is this a common practice?
I don't know if anyone has done that. There is some case law in the state of Missouri, basically that says the statutes grant counties and municipalities broad authority to assign duties to their elected officials. And there's one case in particular where there was an official who basically was stripped of their duties, and those duties were assigned to another official, and the elected official said, in court, you don't have any authority to do this. And the court said, well, yes, the statutes are designed to be flexible, and where they give a political subdivision authority to handle certain tasks or perform certain services, they have the ability to decide how those are done, and that the purpose of these statutes allowing for cooperative agreements is to promote flexibility in the exercise of authority. So there's not a case on point that involves the county clerk, but there is case law interpreting the statutes.
Does that help you, Seth?
Well, I'm just trying to look at removing options. To me, I think removing the county clerk from receiving the funds, I don't see anything that has that involved with it being a good option. But I know that was two different options I think she had listed, and I think those need to be removed. So.
Well, I also think they might have authority to require her to perform the tax extension services in furtherance of a contract that they entered into without compensating her. I don't think that's fair, but I think there's authority in the statutes under the case law for them to do that. Because one of the statutes that authorizes the contract pertains to contracts with elected officials directly, and and that one contains a provision for compensation in the contract as long as the contract is approved by the county commission. The other statute allows for a contract between the political subdivisions for the provision of services, but there's no provision that allows for additional compensation.
Susan?
With regard to option number 2 about the legislative statute change, how much time does something like that take?
Well, Well, I mean, the timing of it is really related to when the General Assembly is in. You know, as I'm sure you all know, they go in January and then session's over in May. So essentially it would be just a matter of reaching out to probably your local senator, representative, and, you know, I mean, I'm happy to facilitate a conversation and even putting together some legislation to revise the statute. But that's something that the legislation couldn't even be filed until January of 2023, so it doesn't help the city this year.
Yeah.
Steve?
I definitely think the public has a right to know how much this mess has cost the taxpayers of the city and the county.
This is a public meeting, so
Liz?
they're finding out as we go right now. It's gonna be in the
Well, she
minutes.
also brought up media.
Well, media.
The
There's,
media means to pressure.
Good point, Steve.
Well,
Liz?
yeah, I definitely think if there's some press about this,
I got notes for you.
that may upset some taxpayers. It would upset me.
Right. Albert?
No.
Whitney?
You know, I like how this is bringing it to light, and I think we proposed the question in public is, we spent this amount of money to try to resolve this. You know,
Yep.
does the public see a way forward, or can they ask the county commissioners, what is your solution to this problem to help the citizens of Cooper County?
I think that's the point of the letter that she suggested, don't you? Is that the letter reviews all of these steps, and she's gonna help draft it, thank God. But that puts it all together, you know, tells the public what we've tried and what we've spent. And, yeah,
And not only sending them that letter, but I think that letter circulates as well.
right into the, for some reason or other, there'd be a copy of it in the paper, wouldn't you think? Barry? No? Steve?
So right now, has Sarah been doing this part of the job and we just owe her for that?
Yeah, so if you remember from the agreement that we approved in May, I think, or maybe even April, we agreed to pay the back taxes, or not the back taxes, or the back, what we owed her for tax collection for 19, 20, and 21.
Okay, so that could possibly go to 22, right? So do we have to get permission from the commissioners to finally pay that down the road?
Yes. Yeah. As it stands in statute, the commissioners have to approve any agreement with the county elected
Okay.
official.
So hopefully in November, we'll have at least one new presiding commissioner, right?
Well, it'll be January when they take office.
Okay. So I guess we should ask Sarah if she'll go one more year on credit. There you go. Okay. Until we get a commission that,
So the one thing that I'm concerned with is the.
Gotta speak up, Sarah.
Hey, can you come to the
Just come to the podium, girl.
So and Jennifer can correct me if I'm wrong, but, the ruling did say that I am required to have a contract to do it. So then I asked, I did speak with one of the commission, I said, if I do this for the city again without a contract, are you guys going to come after me, sue me? I don't know. So that's something that I have to think about too. Because right now I believe.
Because you don't have a contract.
Right, and I believe that it said in the ruling that I need to have one, so.
but I thought we had a contract between us and you,
Mine has to be approved by the commission.
but we could still have a contract even though it's not approved, right?
I would like to think yes,
Okay, write that thing
but I
down.
don't know. I mean, that would be something for Jennifer probably, or my lawyer to add, to make sure I'm,
Is there is there any kind of a consensus? Do we want to, quite honestly, I like the idea of the letter, but I don't think it's going to change anything. Because they've refused and refused and refused to even take this up on their agenda as far as having it in a meeting. But that would give us a piece of paper that says, here's all of what it is entailed.
Is it possible for us to weed that list of 9 options down to 3 or 4 that's realistic and workable? I think there's just too many loose ends and it's hard to
Albert, I think that was the purpose that Jennifer gave us with the letter.
that would cover most of what we,
That would summarize where we are.
yeah, I think that's what we need.
I got that right, Jennifer? Or did I put words in your mouth that didn't taste good?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to put the language together if you want me to do that and lay out where we're at and what we feel the city's options are and what ask that we want to make of the commissioners.
That's what we're saying.
I think also, Albert, just, I mean, obviously in looking at some of these, the option number 1 of the media and the legislative change, those are really, they're not parties to that sort of, well, the legislative change they might be, but, some of these might be a longer game issue that aren't necessarily a part of what you might see in the letter.
Because we are up against the clock again, right? I mean, so we need to move this thing along.
Yeah, the taxes have to be extended by October 31st. And whether we have to amend a contract or whether we are going in our own and we have to appoint a treasurer, we have to put ordinances back on the books. We have some stuff that we would need to do here at the city. So I can't turn on tax collection October 1st for the city. We would need some time to get there.
Hang on,
The way-
Steve. Susan had her hand up too.
Sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
Well, what is the reality of doing something like that between now and October?
We have been doing some research into tax collection, and through the software that we currently use, Encode, we can do tax collection. We probably will not be as efficient as the county, but we have determined that we can find the means. We would have to appoint a collector to just help lighten some of the administrative load, to just take the bill, I mean, all of the help that we would need. But I think it's possible. We could do it. I'm not saying we would love it, and I think depending on the complexion of the commissioners, in the next year, we likely would not look to continue that, but if we had to do it for 1 year, we think we could do it.
Steve?
Here's what I see. I see letting the media know what this costs everybody and persuade Sarah to continue with some kind of contract but still keep communications open to the commissioners. That's it.
Susan?
To argue that point, they're not gonna like it and be very willing to be persuaded if we're out there with a media campaign.
Was doing nothing, doing anything?
No, but I'm just saying.
You have 1 commissioner that is for it, so you have 2 that you need, I need 2.
So-
Danny Larm is for it. I mean, Danny Larm has spoken for it and,
So January could be a good day. Could have a good day in January.
Doesn't get us through 2022 is the only problem.
So,
Contract.
just a comment. So I agree. I think using some public pressure on this, we cover a lot of topics here in the city council, a lot of things regarding development and annexation and new factories. And we get a lot of people that come in and they talk to us about that. No one has talked to us about this. There's not one person here from the public that cares. And I'm looking at the camera now, but I'm encouraging the public to get involved with this. This is $200,000, not to mention pressure on employees that are elected officials, held up by 2 people. $200,000 for seeming like 2 commissioners. And it's just a very frustrating thing. So I think that public pressure on this would help. We're trying to work in best faith with this. We're trying to be efficient with what we are doing. And the clerk provides a service to the city. So legislative change I think is great long-term. But I think that we need to have some public pressure on this and then try to come to an agreement. I don't know if it's something the city can facilitate or some city leaders can facilitate, but I just don't understand how we cannot all get in one room, avoid another $100,000 or $200,000 of legal fees and just work this out. Everything that comes up in front of the city council, I feel everyone has their best intention at heart. I can't see the best intention that this is doing except wasting $200,000 of taxpayer money and counting. So I urge the county commissioners to come together and get this figured out. This is a waste of resources, a waste of money. And I'll leave it at that.
Maybe you should send the email.
I think that was the purpose that Jennifer was speaking to.
I agree.
The letter, don't you think?
I do.
You take that letter,
Yes,
we
but-
add the dollars to it, and we make it public.
But also, I think
Is that what you're saying?
yes, but also one step further is as leaders in the community and these two commissioners that are holding this up, we need to come to consensus. This is ridiculous, so I think it's both. I think it's outlining what we could or couldn't do, it's getting some public pressure on this, and it's us as leaders getting it done. Get this done. So,
I think we need a backup plan, though. I remember sitting in that room with those commissioners, whatever year that was, and they were not budging. I think we need a backup plan that the city has a way to handle the taxes for this 1 year.
As far as backup plans, we need paper trails as well. And I like the email, and then will that email be going to the county commissioners? We need paper trails, especially if we want to do litigation next year. And the reason why I say that, I've been in business 20 plus years, we need paper trails. And we need to be able to say, we have brought this to your attention here, 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 and be able to hold them to that. And I haven't been here very long, and Sarah's been here twice, okay? I've only heard one side of this story. And I mean, I'm not saying 200,000 is nothing to scoff at, but who has talked to them about this issue? Who has talked to the county commissioners in here?
Everybody has.
We all.
And I need to hear this, so.
It started, and just to be fair, so in 2019, when the issue, going back now to 2019, for many of the people who are around the table were at those meetings when we first asked for the contract to be extended. When we didn't have success, that was the year Sarah did extend the taxes in 19, and then we joined with Sarah on litigation to find an answer. So at that time, we sort of, when you get all the lawyers around the room, then you start backing out in terms of the face-to-face conversations that were going on. And as Susan said, it was abundantly clear where people stood at that time. This is now, so there was litigation, and Sarah appealed the decision, and that decision came out, I think, in November of 21. So we were trying to go back, okay, now the court has ruled on, the Western District Court of Appeals has ruled, here's the ruling, so we need to get the agreement. If you remember, that's when we came back with one agreement from all the municipalities, and I was just looking it up. So we emailed that on May 16th when we kind of had a significant majority of the agreements, and asked to be on their agenda. And as of yet, we have heard nothing from them except for they wanted some more documentation, which the city provided, and a couple other cities in Cooper County have also provided. But we still haven't heard anything, so I'm mindful of the clock, that if we are having to do something on our own or we're doing a different contract, I do know that we need time to enact those things, so there is a point at which we have to make a decision. I don't know that we're there today, but probably the time is coming soon.
One of the things that gets covered over or painted over the side is that we weren't just talking to the commissioners. And probably the best meeting we had on this subject is when the other cities joined us. And we sat in here socially distances, discussing this. There was no question amongst the other communities, none. There was no hesitation amongst the other communities in the county about our position. So if you take a look at the total scope of what we've been through in the last 2-3 years, and 3 people have held it up. And most of that has been because of silence, because you have to be on the agenda in order to talk about it.
Have they had a meeting since this was issued?
Who's they?
The county commissioners?
No, so I had also asked to be on the agenda as well, whenever they had said that it was going to be, they wanted some extra things, so I went ahead and asked to be on it as well, so maybe I could talk. My response was, the city's already asked, it's pending legal advice, and I said, do you know how long that's going to take? And I have not heard anything.
And I responded to that same email asking the same question, and they've not responded.
The commissioners do meet every Monday and Thursday.
Right.
And it is public, just like our meetings, I think 9 to 4, 9 to 4:30.
9 to 5, yeah.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, and I'm not sure if there's a set designated public comment period like there is at our meetings, but we haven't just showed up. I'll be honest. I've been waiting hopefully to get on the agenda, and I know they won't consider it without it being on their agenda.
Correct.
We can be there physically, but unless we're on the agenda, we can't speak.
Gotcha.
All right, so
Which one up?
recommendations? Do we go forward with the letter drafted by Jennifer? Make sure that we make that letter as public as we possibly can,
Yes.
as step number 1. Okay. Back up to that, Andrew, you think we need to back that up with anything?
I mean, I think if possible, setting up a meeting,
If we can get them to.
yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
them avoiding us seems odd to me. It's an important topic. It's probably par for the course, unfortunately, but I would like us to have a meet with them and have their side of the story. I don't want it to be one-sided, and maybe there's certainly items which I don't know about, which would help understand, because right now I just can't understand it. And I think that would be helpful.
You're not alone, by the way. Any other comments?
I would like a Plan B backup for the city
Okay.
to, if need be.
The good news there is that Kate and Teresa have talked and thought an awful lot about how we could, if we had to.
My trust is in Teresa and Kate.
Uh,
And Amber. And you.
Oh, no,
what
this is them.
What we can
They're
do
the
too is, between now and the next meeting, Teresa and I can kind of just put it together so you would know, and then we can also try to put some deadlines so we kind of can see what we think is the drop dead date, that if we're going to do it ourselves, this is how much time I need, so, we'll work towards some sort of informational memo, at that point in time, and I'll give you some cost estimates if I can.
Jennifer, have you heard all of what we've been saying?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a time frame for drafting the suggested letter?
I should be able to get it done within the next few days.
Next 2 days?
Few days.
Few or 2?
Few, by the end of the week, for sure.
Okay, all right. If you would do that, please,
Sure.
okay? And we do want to make sure the dollars are in there. Did you write those down?
I can get you the actual amount.
Kate can email it to me.
Yep.
Okay, all right, okay. Anything else for Jennifer? Anything else for Sarah? Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. Sarah, thank you.
You can-
Sure, thank you all. Talk to
Okay.
you later.
Bye, Jennifer.
She's done.
She's like,
Nice work, y'all. Thank you. Item 9, reports of standing committees. Boonville Housing Authority. It's in the packet. Okay. Planning and zoning. Any comments or questions? Go.
On planning and zoning, I'm gonna try to get through this best I can. It's, we did meet, June the 14th to really take up 2 rezoning requests. One is at 1290 Locust Street, the other one's 213 Ashley Road. Now, the 1290 zoning, there is some thought among the commission that in 1954, when that was annexed to the city, it was annexed as a R1, R2. And there's some thinking that maybe that was that was not the right zoning. It maybe should have been C3 in the C1 in the first place. And so that was a pretty easy, I think, discussion, saying probably that's what it should have been, so we don't really have any problem in honoring the request to move rezoning from R1 to C1, from R2 to C1. But we need to have a public hearing on that. And I guess I want to make a motion tonight that we have a public hearing scheduled for what, July the 18th, is that right? Mm-hmm. July the 18th, so I should make that motion?
You should
I
make
shall
that
make the
motion.
motion that way.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
who seconded that?
Whitney, jumped right in there. Steve?
Is that the dairy farm, the old
Yes,
training
it
school
is,
dairy
yes.
farm?
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Roll call.
Hold on, I gotta write this down.
Okay, what do I hold?
Your pencil.
Gotcha.
Okay, Turner,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
and Venable.
Yes.
Thank you. Number 2.
Number 2 is the property at 213 Ashley Road, and that one's a little bit more problematic in from, we initially thought that maybe we're talking strictly a training facility, but through discussion, we ended up thinking, well, or learning that it was not only gonna be a training facility, it could also be a boarding overnight, and that in and of itself creates a number of problems. You got to deal with the barking at night. I don't know where it stands at the animal ordinance. So there are some issues there, but P&Z is going to hold their own public hearing regarding this matter here. And I think that's to be scheduled for July the 12th, the next meeting. So the P&Z is not making a recommendation at this point on the second property. Is that fair?
Yeah, they will make a recommendation, or will make a recommendation following the public hearing that they plan to host. It's just in ordinance, it says that Planning and Zoning Commission has to make a report within 30 days on a rezoning request, so Albert is making his report.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So where's 213? Is it that
That's
empty?
by Jack's,
Yes.
right beside the liquor store, Jack's there.
Okay, it's the empty
Yes.
property that just sold.
So what's the I mean, I thought we had already approved that the city council approved that it would be zoned as commercial, or?
No, you just approved a site plan
Site
for her
plan.
to do her business, and at that time, she was wanting to do like training and a small retail store.
Got it.
And that's a C1. The front half of that property is C1, the back half is R3, if I remember correctly.
I think that's right.
And then she came back and said, well, I actually want to do dog boarding. And in our ordinances, dog boarding can only be done in a C2 zone. So she needs to now request the zoning change to allow dog boarding.
Got it, okay.
So that one's still pending.
That's still pending.
Okay. Anything else, Albert?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Board of Public Works on page 23.
We had a meeting, but we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't have the meeting. We didn't have the quorum.
Okay. Thanks, Barry. Item D, Fire Board, page 25.
We had a meeting at the fire board, and the council had, Tim had businesses there about the, he briefed us on the annual pump testing and ladder testing and new gear for the firemen. There were several miscellaneous up in there about staffing that if Tim wants to talk about it, but in the miscellaneous, Dane Taft asked about the staffing equipment and how one hadn't gotten replaced in 9 years.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Barry? Thanks, Barry. Item 10, reports of city officials, city administrator.
Just one thing, I put in the budget numbers for where we are, and I note that we're about 16% into the year, so if you're looking at how we're spending, there it is. And then the second thing I want to note is, if you remember at the last meeting, you guys approved 3 resolutions for DNR grant funding as a portion for the sewer and the water projects. We had to go through an engineering RFQ. That engineering RFQ closed on the 14th at 4 o'clock, and we received 2 responses. And I have not had time to go through them. Jeff and I are gonna go through them and we'll come with a recommendation. However, you guys will choose the engineer that you want to do the preliminary reporting and the necessary reports to submit to the grant. And like I said, you are welcome to look at any of the submissions we have. Just let me know here. They're in that box, actually, as a matter of fact. But Jeff and I will come with a recommendation for how to proceed at the next council meeting on July 5th. And at that time, you guys will need to make a motion to approve the engineer selection so that we can submit the grants by July 14th.
Questions for Kate? Okay. I will emphasize what Kate just said about the financials. Take a few minutes to go through them. It's important that we stay up to date with what's going on there. City Hall, for the most part, is closed. As you know, the heat and cooling system is being replaced. It's gotten to the point where it's uncomfortable. Teresa, is it even survivable?
No.
Okay.
Not in her mind.
Yeah. We're operating out of here. Okay, out of this building. So if you need something, come here.
Is there a timeline on this, you know, as to how long it's gonna take them to get this all done?
I happened to look back from the last time, so I was just saying that we signed the purchase order, I think right after the very first meeting in May, so, did I say that right? May. I think we're like,
Yeah.
I think we're like halfway into the waiting time for delivery. And so, we're probably another 2 to 3 weeks. They just said they'll call me when it comes and they'll be able to schedule replacement as soon as it gets in. So, at this point in time, we're just waiting for it to come.
And I'm gonna editorialize, okay? We are replacing the whole system in a very old building that probably will not cooperate as much as we would like it to cooperate. So we need to bear this with patience. I think everybody in the room would love to be able to be back in that building in a 6-week time frame, and I don't see that happening.
After they start,
Hmm?
6 weeks after they start,
Correct.
in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
In 6 weeks.
Okay, city clerk,
Nothing.
economic developer, Gigi,
Gigi.
how are you, lady? Good.
I'm shorting you, Mai, so you guys can get out of here, because I don't want to bore you too much. I just wanted to update you a little bit, just to tell you about MU Urgent Care. They have given me a date of spring of 2023 of when they're expecting their completion. I know a lot of people have reached out to me saying there's no construction going on there, so I did reach out to them, and I did get a confirmed date. I have been working a lot on different projects, but I have to say the ones that have not come through the state or Missouri Partnership, the ones who have been referrals or seeing our website, local things, seem to be the ones that are the hottest right now. So that's kind of exciting. I'm continuing to market A&D Barracks, and we do have some interest there. You know, not only do we have Warm Springs Ranch, the Isle of Capri, Kawasaki Steam Engine Show, MKT Trail, and Peddler's Jamboree, but just to name a few things that we get noticed on. But our port got noticed, and I did put that on my Facebook and on my LinkedIn site. About 10 months ago, Major Trade Magazine had reached out to me to try to get our board to pay $2,500 for an ad, and I'm like, we're on a budget. Sorry, but I have a great story to tell you. So I told them about our port and getting upgraded, and I'm proud to say that our Howard Cooper County port was published in a major trade magazine. Trade and Industry Development is the name of it. Our port was amongst several major market ports mentioned and pictured to be a part of the supply chain and distribution solution. So we do have some excitement, and we are getting recognized by not only our tourism but other things. And if anyone knows anything about the port, you know, that was a lot of volunteerism that worked hard to get that port upgraded. And a lot of hard work by John Spinagle too. So I'm really proud of them, and I'm glad that me piping off got something recognized in a major trade magazine. I have met with prospects and have been with a realtor that has showed the hospital. I can't say that any of those are hot prospects, but it was getting some showings. So I'm continuing to follow up on that. I thought maybe you guys would want to hear about that. I attended last week the Missouri Economic Development Council Summit, and I just kind of wanted to share with you what some other community strategy and success stories. A common theme that was told over the economic development through the state was community preparedness, market-ready vacant buildings and certified sites are a key component if a company is going to even consider our location. In the state of Missouri, for a site to be considered for a look, they want it to be certified. Certification means the ground has to be mostly cleared and level, 25 acres plus, business use, 6-inch water line, industrial capacity sanitary sewer, 3-phase, 12 kilowatt electricity. Certification of a site takes time and money, and communities around the state are offering certified sites as far as competition against us or our area. And much of them are being promoted by the state through Missouri Partnership and video. So if you go out to YouTube, you can kind of see some of these sites that are being offered. It's out there for view. I continue to work on several fronts promoting our area assets, but do see community planning as a vital part of our responsible growth. I was going to go into some other things, but I think you guys have had enough. Any questions? Yeah.
The people looking at the hospital building, are they looking at it for healthcare or for other purposes?
Yes.
Okay.
They are aware of a restriction on the site because they weren't, and then I mentioned it to a caller. She called back, told the attorney that's dealing with the ground, and he called me immediately and said, what are you talking about? So I had Georgia send it to me, and I sent it on to him. So now everybody's aware, and that showing was health-related, so,
Good.
yeah. Yep.
Albert?
On the urgent care, is that, you'd mentioned spring of 2023, is that open for business, or is that?
Yep, that's when they're telling
that's
me they're
projection?
supposed to be completed. Some of the delays, what was reported to me was supply chain issues on a heating and air unit, but several people had mentioned, where's the roof, that can all still be going in construction, and they have continued back, so that's why they probably gave me a date, because now they have a more timeframe. Right, yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you, Gigi.
You're welcome.
Miscellaneous. Barry's first.
Wait.
Yeah,
We got a problem on 7th and Spruce with all that trash down there on that corner. It has tons of trash over there. And I'm just wondering how come it's on the floor, it's not in the bins, you know what I mean? So we need to look at that, and see about if we can get a roll off over there.
Oh, I guess I fell asleep.
It's on 801 7th Street, on the corner of 7th Street and Spruce.
And Spruce.
The apartments.
Yeah, the apartments.
Apartments.
Right, okay. And it's on the Spruce side, because that's where they pull the dumpsters out
Yeah.
to, right? Yeah, that's a historically
Maybe we ought to see
challenged
if I can
area.
get a dumpster
We,
or something
we
over
probably do need to get after that
It is.
somehow.
It is being after it in code enforcement,
Good.
to be clear, but the ongoing problem is another kettle of fish.
Okay. That's my question.
That must be a Montana.
By the way, that kettle of fish has been smelling for a long time. Good point, Barry. Good pick.
It was pretty bad. Barry and I went up over there Saturday
Yeah.
to look at it. We were also looking down in Troutdale at some of the rainwater, what do you call it? Yeah, culverts, washout, whatever you want to call them. But some of those are full of trees. So
Debris?
yeah, we need to definitely get somebody down and looking at the rainwater, and I can point them out specifically. But we looked inside one that looked like it had a telephone pole in it. So,
That's a big piece of wood.
oh, it was,
It
yeah,
was pretty
that
round.
large.
It was about like that.
Oh, jeez.
So, and I'll email you, Kate, about that.
Yep, you can email Jeff too.
Okay.
Send a picture.
Yeah. Oh, and we'll do it next week, so, yeah.
Yep. Anything else, Barry?
No.
Nope. Albert?
I had kind of along the same lines. What is our policy, or what is on overstuffed trash cans? I've noticed around town there's a ton of overstuffed. And I know our initial policy was to, the lid should be flat. So what are the sanitation people, are they not picking that up if it's overstuffed, or what are we doing there? Do you know?
I don't know if I'm assuming they're picking them up, because people aren't calling saying it was out there and the lid wasn't shut, and we didn't pick it up or anything.
I think,
I'm saying to pick
are
it
you,
up, and no, they're not supposed to be.
are you asking a different question than he's answering? Are you saying
Well,
the extra bags that are on the ground next to the trash?
No,
Or are you
I'm talking
about
about the
lid
lid
open?
is straight up, and that's just, bags are just pouring out of it. I see that all across town. And my
Okay.
question was, are they just going past that, or are they trying to dump on it? What are we doing about that?
I can tell you what they're doing on my street.
What's that?
They're dumping it. They're grabbing the trash thing and picking it up and throwing it in the truck. It looks like hell. When you look down the street, you see that,
Oh, yeah,
see that bag of trash sitting up on top of that, but they just grab it and pull it up in there. Now, if it's on the ground, they don't touch it. They just leave it there.
If it falls off, they probably
Yeah, if it falls off, they don't touch it, right, Jeff?
Is that what's going on?
That's what's going on Spruce Street.
I
you
think
know,
Yeah.
it's
that's
just-
probably what we've got there.
Yep,
They have an overload of trash.
yeah, right. So, oh, Steve,
Neighbors need to work with neighbors. I've had two of my neighbors, I've told them, I only usually have 1 or 2 trash bags. So if they have extra, they can throw it in mine. So neighbors need to work with neighbors.
what a guy you are. Look at you.
What's your address again?
What's your address, Steve?
I can't remember, I'm sorry, guys.
Funny.
Jim, is there anything else?
One
on it?
more item. Kate, you had mentioned a while back maybe trying to hold a session on the Roberts Rule, and I don't know if you still thinking that, or is that, it looked like maybe we got lukewarm reception when you mentioned that. So is that still on the?
I still can. I was trying to find, frankly, someone who could give us a good training, and I think the FFA, is that right? FFA? I want to make sure that, so I got I've been given a name now of the teachers that do FFA, and they do quite a parliamentary procedure program, and so I have not tried to call them because I'm also trying to respect their summer a little bit.
Yeah, that's
So
fine,
if there's interest, I'm happy to do it, and that's fine, but that seemed to be my best avenue in terms of someone who can really get in the weeds with you if you want to be in the weeds.
Might be some good community service for the kids as well. I think it's
Right.
a parliamentarian
That's right.
part of the officers.
Yes.
Good call. Anybody else?
I just have one comment for your calendars. The meeting is on Tuesday, July 5th, because of the 4th of July holiday being on Monday. So we will meet on Tuesday.
So some holidays.
If you guys want to adopt
you are
Juneteenth,
bad.
you can do
You
it
are
through the
bad.
personnel manual.
It's supposed to be on.
That is something you can change in the personnel manual.
Somehow. I already had it that way. How about that? Looky there. Anybody else?
Hey, Steve.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We are adjourned. Thanks, y'all.